All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our special meeting of council. In attendance today, we have Councillor Link from Ward 1, Councillor Bisetti from Ward 2, and Councillor Pereg from Ward 4. Councillor Kleiber will not be in attendance as per the Provincial Appeals Director ruling of May 27th, 2022, and Resolution 2022-204. Councillor Kleiber is suspended from council until July 14th, 2022, and pending completion of sanctions for various code of conduct violations, including section 6.1A, 6.1D, 7.4A, 7.5A, 7.5D, and 7.5C, as well as a breach of confidential information under sections 152.3 and 83.1D of the Municipal Act. Thank you. I will read the resolution to open up the meeting today. Be it resolved that the meeting be called to order and that the agenda for the meeting be adopted as circulated. Can I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Bisetti, seconded. Councillor Pereg, any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Our first order of business today, 3.1 West St. Paul Reservoir Expansion. And we have had attached information and administrative report regarding the expansion. And I will turn it over to our CEO to provide any additional information and clarify, and then we can ask questions. Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mayor Christian. I'm going to walk through this report. It's been on the agenda. Everyone's seen it, but on June 27, 2022, I received an email from the Manitoba Water Services Board informing of an offer for funding that needed to be accepted immediately to move forward. The offer was in base for our reservoir. I had at Cartier Co-op meetings, I had flagged that the demand in West St. Paul was good. We were putting in fire hydrants for fire protection, and at the same time, Roster was talking about their demand. So the Manitoba Water Services Board was aware that sometime in the future we would be looking at expanding our reservoir. My feeling is that the Manitoba Water Services Board got additional funding from the province this year, and recognize that West St. Paul is always shovel ready and is able to deliver on projects. And I was quite surprised to get this offer from the Manitoba Water Services Board to fund 50% funding for West St. Paul on a reservoir expansion project. They also stated because construction is unstable in prices now, they noted that they have authority from the provincial government to exceed their budget price by 30% if required, and this would double our reservoir. So right now our reservoir is at 4.8 ml, and it would expand it to an additional 4.8. And the budget would be $6.8 million. Like I said, that may not be sufficient as construction prices are rising, and that's the urgency from the MWSB, Manitoba Water Services Board, is they want to tender this right away and award the project before October 31st, 2022. They've also told us if the RM wants to proceed, we are required to send a resolution of council requesting Manitoba Water Services Board assistance for this project, following which a cost-sharing agreement will be prepared. So there'll be a cost-sharing agreement, and of course, if we do anything with water or wastewater in our community with provincial funding, the Manitoba Water Services Board would always be the project manager. A little bit of history on the Manitoba Water Services Board. The RM of West St. Paul Reservoir and Pump House was conducted with a capacity for an average day water demand of 33 liters second, based on a design population of 10,500, with the assumed capacity rate of 270 liters per person per day. Since the facility was commissioned, the RM of West St. Paul has expanded and is currently the 10th fastest growing community in Canada. So the province is recognizing the growth in West St. Paul and the economic development that's taking place in West St. Paul. So being a leader and recognized by the province for economic development, which is good not only for the RM, the strong economic development, but it's good for our capital region and the province. I mean, we're getting this offer. Currently, there are 600 homes connected to the water utility, and the estimate is about 1,800 people. So that's based on Stats Canada, 3 people per home. Others hooked up to water in West St. Paul besides individual residents, a West St. Paul School, Dashmith School, Gateway Church and School will be. They are hooked up, but they're not operational yet. Middle Church Home, Sonova Center, the Aki Center, the Municipal Office, the Fire Hall, Curling Club, Emergency Services, Grassmere Restaurant, numerous businesses on Capitolus, Meadowland School coming soon, and the Public Works Building. Analysis of this offer: the expansion of the reservoir is critical to municipality in regards to commercial and retail development. The high quality projects will only come to West St. Paul. Services are provided. To expand on that, we have vacant land that's in the process of being developed now on north and south perimeter between the tracks and Main. We also have property off Pipeline Road that has the potential to be developed, and we will only get high quality projects there if we have services. So we all have things happening there, but if we don't have potable, high-end potable water there, so there's not, there's capacity to go there now, but if we get an opportunity for a high capacity water project, right now we are limited because you know, basically we're going to be at capacity for the one reservoir. So if you want, like you see in Rosser or high-end commercial, you maybe need high-end water to go. So more flow than we could provide right now. Increased capacity will allow us to provide for more fire protection throughout the community, which is critical to business and residential properties. So we have lots of opportunities in our current business park to expand. If you see some of the properties that are being developed in Rosser, you see fabulous opportunities. Some of those companies have talked to us and asked about our water flows. So the water flows are important for fire protection. If we can't provide fire protection at a high end, then some of these companies won't come to West St. Paul. We've been adding fire hydrants every year. We have them throughout the community now. We didn't have those before. And every year we're adding additional. So not only where developers are, we're adding to existing locations. We've added some down Main Street. We've added additional down Capitolus. And we're looking in the future, if we have this reservoir, then we would start addressing how we could move this fire protection across the perimeter highway or across Main Street into our current business park. Funding may not be available in the future, so we have an offer of 50% funding sitting on the table in front of us. You cannot predict what will happen with funding in the future. Things that happen, there may not be funding available. Other things that happen is you get offered funding, and if you don't accept that funding, they move on to the next community. And I don't know exactly what the formula is there, but you get offers, and the province expects when that pendulum is swinging your way with the golden ring on it, that you grab it. So it's 50% funding. The other thing that is very authentic and true, and we're seeing it, is prices are rising dramatically. So we know prices in the last year for construction have risen 20 to 30%. It's authentic. We've seen it. There's proof of it out there. We've seen it on roads. all kind of projects throughout the province and North America are seeing prices that are dramatically increasing. This is authentically true. So we have an opportunity for funding, and we have an opportunity at prices that are reasonable today. I can't predict what would happen if we don't take this and in 2 years go for a reservoir. It might be 40 or 50% more than this. We can't forecast that. Forecasting in construction today, and if you have any friends in construction, you can ask them. Forecasting today is not like it used to be. This expansion should satisfy our RM requirements for the next 50 years. So this would bring our RM requirements to equivalent to 21,000 people in residential homes. I don't believe the outlook for West St. Paul is for 21,000, but what I'm saying is that's how you measure water in West St. Paul, equivalent residential units. What it will do is we have the Meadowlands School is coming up when we have an opportunity for another school. And if it's for, equivalent to 50 residential units, if we have an opportunity in the future for another care home, those are higher end units, things like that are public sector and private sector. We would have the water capacity to say, yes, we can do this. Right now, if anyone approaches us, I'm telling them, although our reservoir isn't operating at full capacity, we are committed already to full capacity. So we will not sell any more water in West St. Paul or allow for any more water for new development in West St. Paul at this time. And we also have to be aware that we have areas in West St. Paul where water could be at risk. And, water in the community allows for, if you ever do have wells that, in layman's terms, run dry. I've heard of one area in West St. Paul, an established area where they are having some, I won't say run dry, I wouldn't fearmonger like that, but they're having some issues where they have to, the wells are beginning to get old and have to be replaced. So we need to have opportunities where, the residents have a chance to have a system from a water plant to water reservoir. So we have that opportunity, and we've done that in Rivercrest previously, where they had their own little regional water plant. And the province told us that plant was not compliable, was at risk. And we were able to work to bring water in that community from our reservoir in the Cartier Co-op. The RM currently has $4.2 million in the Water Reserve Fund. The Water Reserve Fund was established on a triple P, so a private-public partnership, where we've had payments from developers to. So we have 4.2 million in that Water Reserve Fund. That's what it's there for. It's for when we expand. So the RM would not be going to the public and asking for money. And as we move forward, and people want more water, so we would be able to establish more levies. So that reservoir, the additional reservoir, would be for approximately 3,500 to 4,000 ERUs, and that all depends on revenues of over $12 million there. And this expansion would cost us 3.4 million out of agency in there, like the province. Depending on what the tender comes in, we could go up to 30% higher, but that's still going to be under what we have in our water reserve. And I have a recommendation that we look in the future that we increase our ERU capital levy, which is currently $3,500 to $4,500 for water. So currently the levy is sitting at $3,500, and if we were to sell all the water in that reservoir with the levy, and I call it a sell, so as each home or each business came on for an ERU, they would pay us $3,500. We would have a revenue of over 12 million right now. Our proposed resolution, I'll go through that, Mayor, before we have questions. Whereas the Manitoba Water Services Board has advised that they have received 3.4 million, 50% in provincial funding approval for West St. Paul Reservoir Expansion Project. And whereas the Manitoba Water Services Board has advised that the approved funding can be exceeded by up to 30%, provided the municipality can match the additional funding if the project is tendered and awarded before October 31st, 2022. And that's how, I've got this letter from them last week. So, June 27th. So 10 or 11 days ago is when I got my email from the province saying, get us a resolution right away because we want to tender this project and award it before October 31st. The resolution would resolve that the Council of the RM West St. Paul request that Manitoba Water Services Board technical and financial assistance for project management to the reservoir expansion project in West St. Paul. The Council of the RM of West St. Paul approve a cost sharing agreement between the municipality and the Manitoba Water Services Board for the reservoir expansion project. And the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the cost sharing agreement once it is prepared. And the funds for the reservoir expansion project be borne by the water reserve. That is the report.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Very thorough report, very much appreciated. I will go around our council table and see if there are any questions for our CAO. Councillor Link, any questions regarding the report and proposal?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have comments and I have questions. I'll just read through and then I can wait for responses at the end. Is that okay with everyone? Good, thank you. First of all, I was surprised to see the reservoir expansion on this agenda. And the reasons for that, the RM website gives information about the water project, and the most recent information talks about progress back in 2017 and suggests the reservoir will be completed in 2018. Then secondly, administration reports for the past 6 months do not mention anything about a new reservoir needed or planned. Each report says, quote, ongoing work with water servicing, Stantec work in progress, unquote. The wastewater sewer project tops the list each time. Thirdly, the reservoir expansion is on the 2022 budget's 5-year plan on page 14, drawn up solely by administration and approved March 10th by council about 4 months ago. 4 months ago, the work was slated for 2024. The source of funding was from reserves. No other source of funding was listed in the column provided. 4 months ago, the cost was estimated at 3 million. Yes, I know it can change. Now, the Manitoba Water Services Board is ready with funding at 3.4 million, which the RM must match at 3.4. It sounds like the initiation of this project came through talk at Cartier, and the Water Services Board picked up on a need. The amount for the expansion, if you look on the 5-year plan, is $400,000 more than the RM committed through the 5-year plan to the project. 100% of the cost is 6.8 million, as estimated by the Manitoba Water Services Board. So the RM has to kick in $400,000 more. And I understand this due to recent marketplace costs, escalations, can't deny it. Manitoba Water Services Board sees its way to providing up to 30% more if the RM can match that 30% more funding. That puts the project cost up to about 9 million maximum, I would say. Correct me if I am wrong on this. And the RM's cost would be about 4.5 million. The administration report says the water reserve has 4.2 million. And I would like to hear the reasoning again that what's in the water reserve is sufficient, because 4.2 doesn't sound sufficient to cover 4.5. And again, please go over how that problem will get solved. Is the cost of the pump house included in the scope of this project? The resolution does not include the pump house as part of the project. What was the cost of the first pump house, and what is the estimated cost of the second pump house? I believe the resolution should include the pump house as part of the expansion. The report seems to indicate that the pump house is part of the expansion, but it is not mentioned in the resolution. The first reservoir was built to service new developments and some existing locations in West St. Paul. Some of those locations are listed in the administration report, and some ERUs provided by the first reservoir were saved for use in West St. Paul. The list in this report does not include Rivercrest, but you mentioned it, and I think about 60 homes are served. New school in Meadowlands doesn't exist, couldn't be hooked up yet. You say Gateway Church is hooked, but of course they're not using anything because they're not open. The bulk of the ERUs were purchased by private partners or developers. This reservoir expansion is critical to the RM to service commercial and retail development. High quality projects will come only to West St. Paul if services are provided. I believe that. Businesses as envisioned by the new commercial zone area will not come about without water or water infrastructure. Please confirm that the RM does not at this present time have the capacity to service commercial and retail development as envisioned. Will part of the ERUs be planned for use by existing residential areas? Not just new development. The first reservoir serves a population of about 10,500 or 6 homes currently. 272 about liters per day per person required. How many ERUs does the first reservoir provide? How many ERUs is it capable of providing? So I'm asking what the ERU capacity of the first reserve is. Reservoir. Will the new reservoir have the same ERU capacity, or confirm what it is? What is the rationale for increasing the ERU capital levy from 3,500 to 4,500? And will this increase in levy be brought to council for approval in the future? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Link. Mr. Cieo?
Some good questions there, Councillor Link. Well, I'll start right now on the rationale to increase your last question. So yeah, that's in a bylaw we currently have. I'm not sure if you're aware, we have a bylaw on the costs. And yeah, so if water is a commodity and water is currently at $3,500, would that be consistent forever? Like, do prices stay the same forever? No, they're not. And this is an opportunity for the RM to increase their revenues with with everyone can plainly see the demand is out there. You talked about service to existing retail commercial. Yes, the retail and commercial that we have planned now, we have adequate supply there for them to have. But I'm talking about unique opportunities that happen that we would be able to say, if it's a large department store, maybe more than one large department store or restaurants or whatever, you get to a certain capacity and you want to ensure that you have the fire protection, or maybe the opportunity is something that we couldn't even comprehend in West St. Paul, and it comes and we're just not ready, and we say, well, in 3 or 4 years we will be ready. And I've encountered that with a Government to Canada project before. We had a railway line and they approached me, and it was a fabulous opportunity, but we didn't have the water supply that was necessary for this to function. There are areas in West St. Paul that currently don't have water, and it's a business park. There's another area that's on Pipeline Road that's been slated for commercial highway type projects. There will be other opportunities in West St. Paul. I don't know if you've been past Centerport lately, Councillor Ling, but it's inspiring to go by there and see the luck of the draw Rosser has by being in an area that's designated Centerport, and having there would be nothing there. The land would be virtually worthless, and now that land's selling for over $600,000 an acre because they have water. We've had land in West St. Paul. When I started in West St. Paul, was worth $1,000 an acre, and now is up around $300,000 to $400,000 an acre. So land becomes more valuable in West St. Paul, and we get more opportunities if we increase our reservoir. I don't know why anyone would be against this. This is almost like a 0% tax increase. Why would you be opposed to it? The reservoir would double, so that means when I'll explain to you what double means. Doubled means whatever is in your first reservoir will get doubled in a second reservoir. So doubled means an increase. So if this reservoir could service 10,000 people, when I say doubled, double means you take 10,000 times 2, and then it would be 20,000. So that's what we mean in the report when we say doubled. I can't tell you for sure exactly how many will be serviced because it depends on water use. So I estimate if we're going by ERUs, equivalent residential units, the reservoir that currently exists could service 4,000 to 5,000 homes, but you don't know until you see how much usage is going on per home. I currently believe that I have a couple examples. In Rivercrest, they're currently using 299 liters per dwelling per day. So I have some actual facts, and it differs. Some of the numbers that we're seeing right now differ from community to community within West St. Paul. It's really interesting that way. So you don't know till you see the use of the homes, what they're using. Every home uses a different amount of water. Some homes, their bills are more than others, some aren't. So it's not exact science on how many homes will be done. It's based on education for water preservation, not only by us, but by the province. It depends on habits of the people. I would assume with generational change in West St. Paul that you'll be seeing, people that are buying homes in the future and having families will be much more concerned about water than people of of your generation or going down a generation to my generation. Those people are more aware of the environment, water usage, things like that. So the predictions that I've read that water usage will go down in the future. To your last question about, I can't predict what the province is going to do. I've talked to people in the province. I've got a good network in the province, in the federal government at high levels, and they are amazed and grateful for what's taken place in West St. Paul. I've actually heard where they're grateful for what we've been doing for the community, the region, and the province. They salute the people that are voting to move forward in the province and promote economic development, promote growth, promote health in communities. I ran into provincial officials at our Canada Day. I'm only hearing really good things. I don't control when the province is going to approach me and say, we want to give you $3.4 million or more. I can't do that. It's up to the province. So when they come to me and they're waving $3.4 million of other people's money in my face, I'm not going to go, well, you know what? I didn't predict this was coming until 3 years out. So I'm not going to take it to my council, take the $3.4 million to another community. I'm not going to do that. So you can tell me as you went on, I believe this. I mean, I've heard that a couple of times. Well, this I believe. Well, this I believe. So if the suggestion is I'm making something up or I'm lying, I'm not too pleased with that. I believe this is the truth, that the province approached us about 2 weeks ago and said, I have $3.4 million for you. And if you could do this quickly and get us a resolution, we could start moving ahead. They want it quickly because they probably have to put the tender together. They have to hire a company to put the tender together, and then they have to post it. It has to be probably posted for 4 to 6 weeks, maybe more. So the engineers and the companies that are bidding can put together the proposals. Then it's got to come back to the Manitoba Water Services Board, and they have to go through each proposal. They want to do this on October 31st. So they're saying they need a resolution from West St. Paul immediately so they could start moving forward. I don't know how this opportunity came our way. I know that it's West St. Paul's on the radar because of all the great things we're doing, but I got a feeling someone else had an opportunity, wasn't shovel ready, and they said, if they're not ready, let's take this money to West St. Paul because they'll be ready to go. Let's give them $3.4 million. And then I'm also saying to council, you don't have to go and borrow money to do this. We started preparing for this a long time ago, and we have money in our reserve to do this. Money that wasn't the taxpayers, that came from developers. So you're getting free money, $3.4 million, maybe more, from the government, from the province. And then we're using money where we don't have to go out and get a loan, just like when we buy fire engines, just like when we buy graders, just when we buy loaders. We're a wealthy community because of the position our council, and I'll say previous councils, the positive people have put us in. I think this is a great opportunity for West St. Paul and for this council and for the province. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. Councillor Link, I'll go back to you, and I'll have to do the same with everybody else. You've had 7 minutes. I'm just letting you know that I'm extending our procedural rules to make sure.
Are you saying that I may respond?
Yes, I'm just
Thank you.
letting you know that there's sometimes comments about not being fair, and I just want to let you know that our procedural bylaw gives everyone 5 minutes to speak. You've had 7. I'll let you respond to our CAO, just letting you know.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor, and to Mr. CAO. Because I have questions does not mean that I don't see the benefits of this project. I would like to be clear on that. Because I express an opinion, I agree that the business is not going to come. And that's not a criticism. I'm agreeing with you. That is simply what I said. There were several questions. The cost of the pump house, is that part of the scope of the plan? That still has not been answered. The cost of the estimated cost of the pump house. The capacity in terms of ERUs. ERUs have a standard, and using that standard, what would be the capacity of the first reservoir in ERUs? Thank you.
Okay, the price you see includes everything. West St. Paul had the vision to set up things that doing a second reservoir would mimic the first reservoir. So the price you see here is the total price for everything. So there'll be nothing. We won't build a reservoir and then not be able to pump it everywhere. This is the total cost, what you see here. I've explained what doubling is. Doubling is when you take a number and times 2. So you've asked me, would this be the same capacity as the first one? Then I further explained in my original answer that I can't give you an exact science of what the first reservoir would hold because it depends on usage. It depends on usage for homes. So your home and the mayor's home would have different usage. So I don't know what every home in West St. Paul is going to use. I explained how I thought in the future, different generations will probably use less water as they're more environmentally aware. And maybe washing machines will be changed in the future. They already are changed. I have a brand new washing machine that barely uses any water. And my old one filled up, to 6.5 liters. Those kind of things dictate how much each home will use. So I'll say the first reservoir, NERUs could range from 4,000 to 5,000. Estimating on what we've do, our engineer has told me a number of 4,500 seems reasonable for the first reservoir. But we can't say that for an exact science, not until that first reservoir is in total use. But whatever we do in the first reservoir, it will be doubled. So your first reservoir, what's happening there, doubled means times 2, and that will be the second reservoir. Now, you've also said to me, just because you asked all these questions doesn't mean you don't, I don't know verbatim what you said, agree or support, but you did not once say in your original presentation, you not once said, I agree with this. You did not once say that I remember that you support it. Maybe you did, maybe I didn't hear it. But you did say at least twice, you said, I believe that. And then another time you said, and I believe that. So left me thinking as the CAO, your most trusted official, that there must be some things you don't believe. I've done this report all with data and facts from engineers, the Manitoba Water Services Board, etc. So I think you need to believe everything that's in report because I'm not making it up. And when you say those kind of things, you put me in the position where if you say, well, I believe that, then what don't you believe? So if you don't believe something, you could tell me what you don't believe, and you can say, maybe you might want to start your presentation why I support a lot of these, or I agree that we're not going to get a lot of valuable commodities coming to West St. Paul. I didn't really hear that in your presentation. So if I didn't hear it and everyone else did, I apologize. And I think I've answered everything else. It's in the reports. This is being driven by the province, and we're getting an opportunity.
Well, Mr. CAO, if I gave you that impression, I did not intend to give you the impression at all. So I apologize for the way I have worded what I have said.
Thanks, Councillor Link.
Councillor Prague, any questions, comments regarding this proposal?
No, I'd like to thank the CEO for a concise report. I know you did your legwork. And what I can say, if you have a major box store coming in, that will attract all the businesses to come by because of the demographics. And as we know, there are other, besides the industrial park, we have the other one on pipeline that they want to develop, and they need water. And as the municipality grows, we know certain areas there's no water. If these pipes run there, then we can put fire hydrants, so it will be more accessible to the fire guys, them to access for these areas that don't have the water. They have to come into the city. And there are pluses, and I know, and correct me, Mr. CEO, these ERUs will be sold and the money recuperated. Am I correct?
Deputy Mayor Prague, this reservoir is they're asking for 3.4 million.
Yes.
And and the province has a 30% contingency in case prices increase. So that means we could possibly go over $4 million. That capacity, if an ERU of water costs $3,500, that is today's current price, will bring in revenue of over $12 million to this community. So that means when this is all said and done and we pay from our reserves right now, if we go to capacity on the second reservoir, we won't have just over 4 million in the reserve. We'll have all this additional capacity plus 12 million in the reserve. So this gives us the ability to build our reserves, not only provide probably the most valuable commodity in the world, water, all over our community. It also allows us to increase our reserves by at least 3 times to over $12 million. So absolutely, this is a good opportunity financially, environmentally for us.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. And another thing, as you've heard in the news, about all these areas in the north and so, where they have water problems. They're always cry out for water problems in all these reserves and etc. And we have an opportunity now to tap into this, and we have the money. We're not taking any money from the public. Plus, after selling the ARUs, we have money coming into our accounts. And I congratulate you. I wouldn't hesitate to congratulate you for all the legwork you have done and the way you presented it. Kudos to you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Prague. Councillor Bassetti, any questions, comments regarding the project?
I guess just a comment and then a question here. I commend you on this, jumping on this as quick as you could and making water services comfortable enough to jump to ask us if we need the money in this fast of a manner. Regarding I just have more of a question. There was some lines run that was paid for by Dash Mesh and the Key Center out west. Can we use those lines that run that way? And if so, there's like developments that were coming to us between Blackdale and Grassmere. Like, are those developments, if we were to approve this, would we be able to open the door again on sales of the ERUs and maybe offer water to these people instead of punching how many wells, you know, that they're asking for on those developments? And also with running wells and that kind of stuff, maybe looking in the future at the fire truck filling station, you know, in out west, something that gives them quick response so they're not running to the nearest fire hydrant, that kind of stuff. So are we able to use those lines, or are they just for those two areas, like Dash Mesh and Ikea Center? And one more thing, just before you get into answer, I completely agree with you on raising the cost of the ERUs. If it's costing us this much more to put into the ground, it's only obvious you're going to pay more for it. At the beginning, we had no clue, and we were doing it with, you know, through a triple P, where it was benefiting the developers and the RM. So at this point, yet we have to change our resolution or our bylaw to state that. So thank you for your hard work on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Bisetti, and thanks, Councillor Pratt, for the kudos on the hard work we've done here. Yes, Dashma School and the Aki Center have both, at their expense, put lines into their school. They realized the importance of fire protection. They realized the importance of high quality water. So the water, proven fact, the water that we're using from Cartier Co-op is better than water that's being used in large neighboring municipalities. And yeah, when we told them they could have water, but they have to front the costs. So the cost for lines to, and as they're doing that, as they're moving lines to their schools, they put into the ground, and it gives us opportunities to have this water further out west. Great opportunity. So what I will say is the water is out there. Up to the Dashmiss School and up to the Aki Center. We own the lines. We own the lines that the water goes through. And yes, if those groups want water, they are absolutely welcome into talks with us. They'll need to figure out how they're going to get the lines from the Dashmiss School or from the Aki Center to their locations. But absolutely, now we have that opportunity to bring potable water out west. And as you get new groups or schools or institutions that bring water to their locations, that opens up all kind of opportunities for existing residents of West St. Paul. And I know when people are on wells, they are usually not interested in connecting to a water system. You know, they have systems in their home, they're invested in it, but at some point, the well will need to be changed. Potentially at some point, the groundwater may not be suitable. The province could even change rules. And where we are now in West St. Paul is we have water, potable, high quality water in our community. So we wouldn't be at a loss. We would be ready if we had to move to bring water into an established community. We'd be ready to work with that community within our municipality to get water there and not sitting in a potential problem spot with, you know, we've got to boil water for all these wells, you know, west of McPhillips, and we have no solutions for these people. Now we have a solution that could potentially be only months away from giving them. If they came to council and said, our group, our small community has a problem, we could jump into action and work with them to bring water to them.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. CAO. A couple of comments from me. I guess, first off, I do want to thank the provincial government. We have a great positive relationship with the government, despite having some differences on certain issues in our community of public engagement, and we've definitely been vocal when we have concerns. But what's really important is the amount of investment that the province has made in West St. Paul. We've had projects that have been on the back burner for over 40 years, including Highway number 9, that this government understands that our community is growing and thriving, that they have people like our CAO, like our Director of Infrastructure, that they can work with and get things done, and that they have a supportive council that moves those projects ahead. And those partnerships are absolutely invaluable. Residents in neighboring municipalities, elected officials in neighboring municipalities, large cities are shocked at the amount of funding we have received in this community for wastewater services, for water, for highway projects. We're always really transparent about that in our budget reports of how much grant money we are receiving. And on behalf of our community, I am so grateful that the province recognizes that. Kudos to council, and the CAO and I work tirelessly to build partnerships and build relationships that we can go into the ledge and have conversations with ministers, talk about our concerns, talk about our needs. And this is exactly why it's so important to have those positive working relationships, because when they're looking at where to spend money, we should be very proud as a council and a community that they look to us and go, that is a place that we want to invest hard-earned tax dollars. That is a place where, without a bat of an eye and with 10 days notice, we want to say, we'd like to give you $3.5 million and help you expand to another reservoir. So I just want to say that of how truly proud I am to be in a community where the provincial and federal governments want to invest in us, and our community should be very proud of that. I want to thank our CEO and Director of Infrastructure. It's amazing that we are set up for this. This is why reserves are so important, to be ready with $4.2 million, not have to borrow and not say, gee, this is such a great opportunity, we're going to miss it, we don't have money in the bank. We have money in the bank, and we're able to move forward on these projects. Councillor Link pointed out our budgets and you know that it was projected that this would come within the next 5 years. How amazing that we're ahead of schedule and ahead of plan, because the province recognizes what's going on. This is why we do the best we can to budget, but sometimes you have the most wonderful surprises, and we're going to hopefully be spending money we didn't anticipate out of our reserves because we've been provided with such an amazing opportunity. So you do the best you can to budget for what you're going to do in the upcoming year, and then you have wonderful surprises like this. I will say, in terms of conversations that have been had, we've been really vocal about Plan 2050 and the impact to our infrastructure if those numbers are used, and numbers suggesting that our population will be at 7,000 in 30 years when our population is at 7,000 now. So we're committed. We have a strategic plan. This is not growth for the sake of growth in West St. Paul. With the development that we've approved, we're very near our strategic plan goal of residential development. Proud of that. Proud that we've been able to bring 60+ residents in Rivercrest water at no charge to them for connecting to that new water source, and that they have safe water that otherwise would have been $3 million to create a new water treatment plant where the water treatment plant existed. So this council supported that and brought the residents of Rivercrest water, and all of the ones in Rivercrest that are hooked up to a well, we said, we're not forcing you to hook up, and moving forward on a reservoir, we won't be forcing residents to hook up and get off of their wells. We're over 80% a rural community, and we can stay that way. But what we can do is when houses are burning down, there can be a fire hydrant in your neighborhood, and they won't have to come back here. There can be access to water for the business park to even greater increase the value and our assessed value in West St. Paul. So those are good news. To me, this is a great news story. The job creation that's happened in our communities for bringing water, just tremendous. And this is really exciting. So really one of those, I don't want to say once in a lifetime opportunities, but certainly an amazing, surprising development to have Manitoba Water Services come to us and present that. Our CAO and myself have been at all the Cartier Regional Co-op meetings. They know they can work with us. What I'm pleased to see is they will be overseeing this project, as the 10th fastest growing RM in Canada. This frees up our CAO and Director of Infrastructure that they're not managing and overseeing this project, that it will be completely overseen by Manitoba Water Services Board and their experience and expertise in this. So a lot of really good things. We've had all of this development, and residents have asked all of us, really, what's the benefit of new development to me? Well, the benefit of new development to the residents of Rivercrest who are on water is you saved sharing $3 million among 61 homes to have safe water that meets compliance. New development has paid for all of this. Levies on all of the lots that have come up that have had water levies as part of each subdivided lot goes into this reserve fund, not anything from residents and our tax dollars. So with every new lot created in West St. Paul, that has gone into this levy. And so there's truly no cost to existing residents that are tapped into this water, that our children attend school with safe drinking water, that a new school will be built and have access to water. It's really exciting, and 2 new schools to be hooked up to this. So I think this is really great news. Thank you, Mr. CAO, to you, to Dave Romano, and our staff. On a relatively small staff in West St. Paul, we have certainly captured the attention of the province and the federal government, and we're worthy of, thanks to you and your staff, these great grant opportunities, because you guys set it up and made that happen. So very proud today, very proud. Having had opportunity for all of us to ask questions and comment on this project, I will read the resolution. Whereas the Manitoba Water Services Board has advised that they have received 3.4 million, 50% in provincial funding approval for a West St. Paul Reservoir expansion project. And whereas the Manitoba Water Services Board has advised that the approved funding can be exceeded by up to 30%, provided the municipality can match the additional funding if the project is tendered and awarded before October 31st, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul requests the Manitoba Water Services Board technical and financial assistance for project management of the reservoir expansion project in the RM of West St. Paul. The Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul approve a cost-sharing agreement between the municipality and Manitoba Water Services Board for the reservoir expansion project. The Mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the cost-sharing agreement once it is prepared and its funds for the reservoir expansion project be borne from the water reserve. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Busetti, seconded by Councillor Craig.
Vote,
Can I get
please.
a recorded vote? Thank you.
Request for a recorded vote. Any further comments? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Exciting day for West St. Paul. Very good. All right, I will read our resolution to move in camera. Be it resolved that in accordance with section 152.3 of the Municipal Act, Council do now move in camera to discuss legal matters, and further be it resolved that in accordance with section 83.1D of the Municipal Act, any issues that are discussed are kept confidential until discussed at a regular meeting of Council. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Busetti, seconded Councillor Bragg. All those in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Thank you. And we will move into camera. Thank you for your patience. We are coming out of camera. We discussed a couple of issues in camera. 4.3 Rise and Report is the legal issues, and we have two resolutions coming out of camera. Resolution 1, be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul instruct the CAO to seek advice from legal counsel for the rural municipality regarding 1, Councillor Kleiber's acceptance of an invitation and subsequent attendance at a public function as a member of council on June 30th, 2022, while suspended from the power, duty, or function as a member of council by council sanction and confirmed by the alternate provincial appeals director, May 27th, 2022. And 2, the potential breach of confidentiality via email dated Sunday, July 3rd, 2022. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Busetti, seconded Councillor Bragg. Any further discussion would require us to go back to camera. Seeing no request for further discussion, I will ask for a recorded vote, and I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
And that is carried. Resolution number 2. Whereas the applicants, Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux, commenced a notice of application in the Court of Queen's Bench, file CI 1701-06991, the applicant, as against the Seven Oaks School Division and the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul, and made certain allegations therein, the particulars of which are set forth in the application and materials filed in the court file. And whereas the applicants, Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux, have reached out to the Seven Oaks School Division and the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul seeking to abandon the application and not pay costs to either the Seven Oaks School Division or the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul. And whereas the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul is entitled to the costs of the application unless the court orders otherwise. And whereas the Rural Municipality has in the past sought and obtained costs as against applicants in similar matters. And whereas the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul authorized the CAO by way of Resolution 2021-446 dated September 23rd, 2021, to instruct legal counsel for the Rural Municipality to agree to the request of the applicants, Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux, that they be permitted to fully and finally abandon their notice of application in Court of Queen's Bench, file number CI 1701-06991, with costs being payable by the applicants, Dorothy Kleiber and Tara Lamoureux, to the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul as per the court tariff. And whereas no further information has been forthcoming on the matter, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Rural Municipality of West St. Paul instruct the CAO to engage legal counsel for the Rural Municipality to resolve the matter. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Busetti, seconded Councillor Bragg. Any further discussion, which would require us to go back in camera?
Recorded vote, please.
Request for a recorded vote. Seeing no further discussion, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Can I have a mover to adjourn the meeting? Moved by Councillor Bragg, seconded by Councillor Busetti. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Thank you. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon.